Hello, sportsmen. If you're a deer hunter, you're going to want to watch the next half hour. We're going to have some strange things, some odd racks. We're also going to tackle that question, what happened to the deer in 1993? There didn't seem to be many out there. Hey, I have an explanation. You stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost, and you're watching The Practical Sportsman.
Fred Trost's Practical Sports.
What we have is a couple deer here in the velvet. Now, when you find a buck in Michigan, especially in November, well, you got one with a bow October 2nd, and then November 15th, Stan got this one in the velvet. There's usually an odd story behind it. Joe Weisenbach from Sebewing. What's the story on this little antlered what?
I seen him come out, and
No, I got to correct you. You saw her come out.
There was another doe with it.
Yes, this.
Yeah.
Let's get right to the point, Joe. This is a doe,
Yep.
antler.
Yep.
A doe with antlers, an aberration of nature. I mean, she apparently didn't try to rub it off, which would indicate that it doesn't itch. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Because she just had no instinct to rub that off. That's a doe with antlers, and that was taken in Huron County. And you're from Sebewing, Joe Weisenbach. Now, this year, you're outdone. I'm not kidding. Stan Phil from Standish got a 6-point. Now, this has 13.5-inch spread. Like, who cares? That's not the story. The story is, go ahead, Stan, you say it.
Not much of a story.
No. Tell me about what was attached to this deer when you checked to find out what it was.
Well, it's a perfect 6-point.
Get to the other end.
He had the little thing, but he didn't have the testicle to back it up.
Okay. Well put. Stan, you're a politician. That's right. This was sort of a buck.
Well, I think he was going for a sex change, but I think he kind of flubbed up a little bit.
Oh, he did. He did. So here we are. This is...
I think he's a kind of a awkward thing anyway, because when he fell, he broke this point, and he broke his back leg at the same time. It wasn't
Okay.
shot.
What we're going to have to do, I'm sorry, Stan, is these people are going to have to draw their own conclusions. Huh? This deer really didn't have it.
That's right.
Okay. In fact, this deer and this
It
doe,
was kind of uncoordinated.
yes, the whole thing. But it's interesting to see deer in velvet. It's not natural at this time of year, and these deer definitely weren't natural. Mike Reynolds entered this one because it was a 14-point, but look at the statistics on this. Oh, knock you out. 10-inch spread, longest tine, 2.5 inches. Wow. Wow, weird. Mike, you're from Davison. You got with a bow.
Right.
When you saw this guy walking through, did you count the points?
Well, I really didn't have time. He walked in, and I seen him from the side,
Oh, like that.
and I thought it was a real monster. Then after I got him down, I said, I didn't shoot that. But that's what it is.
I'll be darned. Oh, how we got to ask on this show? How was the plumbing on this one? Was it okay? I mean,
Oh, everything was fine on it.
everything was
Yeah.
fine. It just has
It was
a.
all there.
Any idea how old it was?
No idea.
Well, I'll tell you, that is very strange. But I think it's neat to see that. We've been trying different weekend activities at the Practical Sportsman Museum in Bath. 2 weeks ago, we had a gift fair along with deer butchering demonstrations done by professional butchers. Steve Cole from Coopersville showed the crowd how to bone out a deer on Saturday. If you'd like to see the whole process, Steve has a video he produced. There's information on that video in the new Practical Sportsman magazine. I'm always interested in watching people butcher game and fillet fish. Everybody has a little different technique and shortcut, some better ways of getting the job done. Steve taught me some ways of taking the silver skin off the loins that was pretty slick. Many people don't realize that venison meat doesn't have a wild taste. It's the fat and membranes and connective tissue, that white stuff that isn't meat, that gives venison a strong flavor. Cut it off, and the meat is very mild. Steve Cole did the demonstration on Saturday, and on Sunday, Bob Lucina from Bob's Deer Processing in Ovid showed his professional techniques for boning out venison. A few years ago, butchers cut bones on deer, but nowadays more and more of them bone out the meat, and it tastes a lot better.
This will be your roast. Now, on the neck rolls, when you turn this over, you'll see a lot of this in here. You could keep cleaning this all day long and this neck will fall right apart. But once you cook this, it all disappear. It'll be gone. But once it cools down, you have a grease film. It'll harden. But if once it's still warm and once it comes out of the roaster, you won't see any of this. It'll be solid meat.
Both Bob and Steve will be back at the museum next fall in October to give their deer butchering demonstrations again. We'll also have manufacturers like Earl Senchuk from Senco, who makes the Super Blind and a new line of ice fishing shanties. Now, here's our weekend event schedule at the museum for 1994, starting the second weekend in January. That'll be a sporting dogs weekend with special emphasis on beagles and beagle training. We'll be doing cook-offs one Sunday a month and special shows with exhibitors on a variety of subjects. We'll cover firearms, archery, outdoor equipment, wildlife art, collecting, and other subjects such as trapping and different methods of fishing. We're also developing weekend contests relating to these different subjects, and you can expect some major casting contests for fishermen to emerge in 1994. That's a form of competition that's really big in Europe, but hasn't got much attention in the United States. The museum will become the center of many new weekend activities in the coming year, including taxidermist Tim Hayes, who has his studio right in the museum where you can watch him work. These activities will begin the second weekend in January, and we'll have the whole year's schedule finalized and published at the first of the year. On our Sportsman's Gift Weekend, I met a lot of great people, including Kathleen Chamberlain, who I originally met at the Mill Creek Buck Pole the night after opening day in Dexter. Now, after Kathleen was on TV, she became a local celebrity, but not everyone could remember what show she was on.
Oh, someone recognized me and thought I was on Jeopardy.
Oh, they
and
did?
then they realized that it was that I'd gotten a deer.
Ah,
So,
well, how about that? That's pretty high class.
Yeah, well, now I can hunt back at home, too, because my husband got one a few days after I did.
Oh, he did?
Yep, he got a 6-pointer.
You've
that
had an
was-
incredible season. Did your husband hunt deer before you started hunting deer?
No, that was his first year, too.
So the story is, you work as a firefighter.
Yeah.
Does he?
He's a firefighter also.
In Ann Arbor?
No, he works for Northfield Township and for Dexter.
And how was it that you got in deer hunting? The guys at the fire hall? Did they
Right.
talk you into it or what?
No, I just had a lot of respect for the way they hunted and decided to try it.
And you tried it and got your husband into it the same year,
Well, he got into it the same year. He was interested, so he started.
but you got the first buck.
Oh, I got the first buck, yeah. But both of us bow hunted first and didn't get anything, or at least didn't have anything that was close enough that we felt comfortable shooting. That's him over there.
Oh, your husband? Come on over here, hubby. I mean, normally it's a husband who's been hunting for years and years, and you weren't hunting for years and years, huh?
No, this is my first year.
Did she teach you what you needed to know, or what?
We both shared experiences together.
Well, that's great. Here, let's stand here together. The successful buck hunters. You got a 6-point.
Correct.
And you got a
10-point.
nyuk, nyuk, nyuk.
Doesn't bother me at all. I'm very happy for her.
Well, I bet you should be. Are you going to hunt the muzzleloader season?
Well, at least with my bow. I don't know if I'm going to try a muzzle loader yet.
What about hubby?
No, just continue on with my bow. Next Wednesday, I'll be out there bright and early.
No kidding. Well, that's tremendous. What did you think about hunting before you started this year?
I used to small game hunt a number of years ago and had gotten out of hunting for a long, long time. And I've thought about doing it, and I have friends that have hunted, but I've never really gotten into it since that time myself.
Now, is she the one who brought it up to go hunting this year?
Yes, she did. Mhm.
I came home with a bow.
Oh, you did?
I did.
That's great. Well, congratulations. What a couple. That's an unusual way to get into hunting. Harvey and Kathleen Chamberlain from Dexter are just two of the many great people I've met at the museum. It's become the Practical Sportsman headquarters, and in 1994, we'll have special events every weekend. By the way, next Saturday, the 18th of December at 1 o'clock, I'm holding an organizational meeting at the museum for a new organization, the Federation of Senior Sportsmen. I'm looking for people 55 and up who want to become active in this new movement in the outdoors. Come to the meeting or at least give Doug Tabor a call if you want information on what this new organization is all about. The cover of our current Practical Sportsman magazine is an art print of a white-tailed deer. There's actually more here than initially meets the eye. Now, this was painted by Phil Van Til from Granville. He's a carpenter by trade and a hunter and a wildlife artist in his spare time. Now, you have done a painting here that is, when I first saw it, I thought, great. I didn't see this doe here for a little while because I was focused on this big buck. And I saw a buck standing right there, and I thought, man, it might be tough to get a shot, because that's covering it. And then I noticed over on this side there was maybe a log or a rock. I said, no, hold it. No, that's the hock there. That's a hock of a deer. There are two deer there.
Right. I tried to create a situation that some hunters are familiar with. When you see a deer, you don't necessarily see
The whole thing.
the whole thing.
I mean, you
Right.
know, especially if you're hunting in an area where there's 3 or 4 or 5 deer and they're in a group,
Right.
you don't know which. Now, we have a deer hunting expert who, as soon as he saw this painting, had a definite opinion. His name is Gary Botek, and Gary said right away, with complete certainty, where you would shoot. Which deer, which body would you shoot?
I don't know now.
What do you mean you don't know now? 10 minutes ago, you were absolutely adamant.
Well, after looking at it from the side here, it looks a little different than from the front.
Okay, well, move around to the front a little bit and tell me, from the front, what did you see?
Well, I did think that this right here was the body, but after the swirls from the paintbrush, how he's got it on the canvas here, it starts to look like that might be the body over there.
See, my theory is that I think this is the tail, that you can see the tail a little bit of this, maybe not, maybe I'm just imagining it, but I think this deer is actually angled back and it's standing with its front feet up a little bit. That's my theory.
That's possible, but it could, you could go either way. I mean, it looks different when you stand out here and then when you stand on the side of it.
That's right, but a hunter who is in the woods and sees this situation is first of all going to see these antlers, follow it down to the body, and try to make a shot.
Right.
Until he sees the second one.
Right.
And if you don't happen to have the right tags and enough tags, you could be in trouble.
Nah, shoot him right there, right in the neck.
You're that good?
You bet.
Okay, well, that's what it takes. Well, Phil Van Til, you have done a job on this painting, I think, that is causing controversy.
I hope so. That's what I intended.
That's what you intended. So what is your vote, folks? Which is the real deer? Why don't you send us letters and tell us your impression? You think the one on the left or the one on the right? And by the way, you might as well say, is the other one a doe? Or are they 2 bucks? Now, vying for the judge's favor is Melanie Morris from Mount Pleasant, who also knows how to prepare tasty, good-looking dishes. She calls this treatment of succulent venison Trost's roast on toast. Again, a dish that not only smells good and tastes good, but looks great.
It's garnished with blue cheese and red onion relish on a garlic toast.
Where'd you get the name of this?
I made it up.
You made it up. You weren't angling for some favoritism here, were you?
Oh, no.
Oh,
No pandering at all.
No, that's great. It looks like a terrific recipe, and from what they've been talking about, you cooked it perfectly.
I'm full.
You're full?
I'm full. We couldn't do another category unless we got dessert category. But I'm full.
Okay.
Well, I couldn't eat no more. I don't want no more. I've had enough. I'm full. I heard.
Do you have enough strength to tell us which one in the last category you put on top?
I do. Now,
You okay, Charlie?
wait a second, my brain will take in gear in a minute. No. I've got to say that the Trost roast on toast is the one I'm going to pick.
Boy, this took a while.
No, this is it.
Yeah. But the spicy whitetail roll-ups is probably the most interesting dish that we've eaten all night long.
Is that
I think.
right?
I really do think
Well,
so.
you ate that one
But
first.
I did, and it has a very, very nice flavor, and it's interesting, and it's made with that phyllo dough, and that which kept it light, but the venison was done just right, and you could taste the venison. I love venison when it's cooked properly.
So you want another helping?
I'm full.
All of the Practical Sportsman TV recipes from October through January are published in the current Practical Sportsman magazine. You'll find them in a handy clip-out format for your recipe file. If you're interested in trophy fish, we have color photos of some of the biggest, along with computer analysis of trophy fish data. If you're a hunter, you'll find pictures, charts, and graphs analyzing hunting awards data, and this issue also contains all of the entries for the 1992 Realtree Hunting Awards. How-to articles are on the subjects of firearms, archery, questions of law, recreational vehicles, sporting dogs, and a new department called Warm and Dry, which talks about products and techniques for outdoor comfort. Schedules of our weekly events at the Practical Sportsman Museum and other Practical Sportsman Club activities are in the magazine. If you'd like a free copy, just write to me and you'll receive one within 4 weeks. If you want your copy sent first-class mail, enclosed $4, we'll expedite it to you within a few days. I'll also send you information on joining the club. Well, if you've read the newspapers, the stories on deer hunting, opening day, and so on, you've probably been skeptical like I was when I read a report a week after the opening. Now, this is according to DNR big game specialist Ed Langenau. He made some quotes in the paper right after opening day. He said that the herd in Michigan numbered between 1.4 million and 1.6 million deer. Now, I have never agreed with that. I think that's way too many. He said that on the opening day, deer were active on opening day, and they've remained active. Now, that wasn't the experience that I found on opening day. Most hunters I talked to said that they weren't seeing deer. And it said, it looks like the harvest was comparable to last year. Give me a break. I mean, I had to wonder, what planet is the DNR talking about? Could they possibly be talking about the Michigan deer herd? Well, the season, as we went through the season, we found that the deer just weren't there in the numbers that hunters have expected. For example, years past, I had taken deer just about every year and gotten spike bucks, the small ones. Now here's a clue as to what happened to the deer this year. Spike bucks are generally the bulk of the take of deer hunters. 70% of the bucks in an average season are 1.5-year-old bucks, and they have small antlers like this. Well, as we got to the end of the season, I just saw an article in the paper here that quoted somebody from the DNR who admitted that there was light hunting pressure and a smaller than expected harvest in the regular firearm season. And they said that the November buck kill was below predictions statewide. Okay, so they've admitted that the kill is down. But a key to it is back in this original page here where Ed Langenau says more 2.5-year-old bucks than usual were brought last week to the DNR's highway check stations. Aha. That is the piece of the puzzle. That's the key that we need to know. What happened to the deer? We had a lot of big deer taken this season, a lot of big deer on our big buck night. I mean, more than ever before, but not the smaller ones. What happened to the smaller deer, the spike bucks, the 1.5-year-old deer? Last year, I reported that in June, the first week in June 1992, Michigan had 5 days in a row where the temperature went below freezing, below 32 degrees, unusually cool. What happened during that week? First week in June is also the week when most of the fawns in this state are born. Well, deer farms, as we found out, had mortalities. Right here we have a little fawn that was from the deer farm up at St. Ignace, the deer ranch up there. Harold Creasy had this one freeze-dried. It was a very unusual albino fawn. They had to take it to the hospital the first week in June to have it given IVs and medication because it had pneumonia. Like about nearly half of the fawns on the deer farms had gotten that first week in June. It was my theory then, and it's my theory now, that we lost about half of the fawn crop in 1972. The 1.5-year-old deer were not there. The spike bucks were not there in the numbers that they should be. That's what happened to the deer. They weren't hiding. They didn't change their behavior. They just weren't there. They died off during that first week in June in 1992. We're going to talk about this on future shows, I'm sure. And here we have Tim Hayes, taxidermist, who's actually pretty happy that more hunters were forced to shoot bigger bucks. That's more business for taxidermists, huh?
It should be.
Because people don't bring their spike bucks in to have mounted very often. What are you doing here on this bear?
I'm just getting ready to pull the skin over it, getting the eyes set. And
Boy, I tell you, it's something. When you see a bear like this in the sort of mannequin state, it has real teeny eyes.
yeah, the bears aren't known for good eyesight.
Yeah. Well, okay, you're not going to be here this weekend,
No,
but this bear will be.
the bear will be hopefully done tomorrow.
Okay, we got things to do. But if you can, get outdoors this weekend. It's a great place to be. See you next week.